Well, we have about 52 million set-top boxes now in our database, and that allows us to do a variety of new things that have never been possible before. I think, to me at least, one of the more exciting ones is the way that you can now define target audiences in ways that go way beyond just the use of age and gender. I'm not saying that age and gender are irrelevant, but there's a lot of different ways, thousands literally, ways in which you can define a target audience. But to do that, you need data at scale, because the granularity that you need gets you down to measuring individual shows, often at an individual city level. And so the data sizes you need just dwarf anything that the industry has used before. So that's why we've gone to as many set-top boxes as we have. But I sense that what's happening is that advertisers are increasingly asking the sellers of advertising for the ability to reach specific audiences, and building up these networks of shows, if you will, that allow them to reach a given audience with more efficiency, which then also should lead to more effectiveness. And I suspect that that's going to be in many ways the future of how advertising is bought and sold. That's my personal view of where we're going to go. But again, not that the age and gender variables will become irrelevant, but they will be integrated in with these other more accurate descriptors of the audience that an advertiser wants to specifically reach.
So Jen, can you please explain your access to the data that you have in these 50 million? I mean, isn't a lot of it some of it is the property of the MSOs and they keep it, or and then you have your own project going? Explain a little bit.
Well, that's one of the things that's really interesting in the way that the media measurement business has evolved, is that it used to be, in days gone by, that a research supplier could just build their own database and measure everything that was necessary using that. A panel was generally the way it was done. I think those days are over, because media consumption today is so fragmented across platforms, across different devices. You've got different ways of delivering television content that goes way beyond just linear television. And to be able to measure all of that with the granularity you need, you have to have the cooperation of the content owners and the device owners to tag the content that then allows the measurement companies to read the consumption of content wherever it is happening. And so, in a sense, the providers of the research data have become dependent on the entities that they try to measure, and that's something that we've never seen before in the media research business. Now, in my previous life, when I was running Information Resources, IRI, I was well versed in the realities there, because there we were acquiring scanner data from the retailers to then measure what was happening for individual brands. And so I think I understand the ins and outs of how you have to deal with the entity that you're measuring, who also is providing you with the data elements that you need to be able to do a good job of measuring it. But it's a very, very different world from what media research used to be. That's pretty clear.
And tell us about this new project, or this evolving project, the 15,000 homes. What is that?
Yeah, so we've got 12,000 homes now, the home panel. Basically what we've done is developed a device that sits in the home that captures all of the content that's being delivered across all of the internet-based devices in the home. And what we're finding is that the average home has now 10 connected devices. So with the 12,000 households, we're measuring 120,000 devices. And what we're finding is pretty amazing in the way that different devices are being used and how they're being used. And as an example, the way that loyalty might not be the way in which we think it should be. So for example, we're finding within a home that there's no particular loyalty to an Android versus an iPhone. A lot of the homes have combinations, which is kind of interesting. We're also finding a wide variety in the way that the OTT devices are being used to deliver content via the internet. We're also now measuring consumption over the top for services like Netflix. And it gives us all of this data in what we call a single source manner. So you can actually now understand the consumer's journey, if you will, across all the devices, the platforms, and the ways that they are accessing content. It's pretty exciting stuff.